Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spawncast episode 390. It was a good week. Had some stuff come out with Mario and Luigi that Josie actually picked up. Josie, how you doing? Yep, there it is.
I'm good. Yep, I just opened it, so I have not had a chance to play it at all, but I've seen some pretty bad stuff, so I'm excited to see if that's correct or not.
Gosh. There was that review from IGN that got people really mad, so I saw that.
Yeah. What is that, 5 out of 10? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Is that so? I mean, if you read it, I mean,
well, I just saw their rating of it, and I haven't played the game yet, so it might be valid. I just was shocked.
Well, I've seen a lot of people that aren't happy that Luigi isn't mapped to be it has the name, but it doesn't seem like it's like, you know, it was designed with the previous games in mind. So I think that's a bit jarring to some people.
Okay. Well, we also have Sean, has his Knicks are coming up later on in the recording, so he's gonna step out a little earlier because, man, those Knicks got to redeem themselves. It was
shut up.
Yeah, you said it. You're the one who said it on Twitter. You're the one who is like, this is embarrassing.
It's when I say it, it's different because I am a fan. You are not a fan. You go sit there with your cripple Paul George and your cripple Embiid, and you be happy.
I'll check in with Stephen A. Smith can let me know about the Knicks. He's got a
fraud.
We have Celia. Celia's with us. People really, really happy to see you as a regular now. So
thanks for continuing to have me.
We got Evan, of course. Evan's here too.
Yep.
All right. So I do want to give a shout out, of course, to the Spawncast Network Patreon over there. You guys left a lot of questions in the mailbag, and they're pretty good. So shout out to everyone there. We'll go over those a little later in the show. And I do have topics to go over, which includes Nintendo's financials. We got some Switch 2 stuff. Sean's Virtua Fighter is in the news. So Sean got a win this week too with that. And Death Stranding, which is really funny to see that game pop back up after 5 years now, but had a random release. So actually a lot to get to here. I do want to go over a few things that I just kind of wrote. It's just like some questions and stuff that I wrote down here just for fun. So we do have the Sony put their financials out there. I think Ryan and I will go over that in more in depth when we do Click R3 next week, because there's like a lot of stuff to get into there. But we did get a number for Astro Bot. We don't get a lot of numbers from Sony anymore. They kind of update us once on their games, then kind of move away from it. And that's it. Like, we don't really get much information and updates or anything. Nintendo tells us updates pretty much every time they put their financials out for the most part. Not Sony, but they did tell us that in the 2 months since Astro Bot released, it sold 1.5 million copies. And that immediately sparked conversation. Is that good? Is that bad? People are having a hard time kind of figuring this one out. So I figure I'll go around real quick. Were you surprised at the number, or were you expecting more or less, or what?
Who are you going to?
Whoever wants to jump in. Sean, you took the initiative. How about that, Sean? What do you think? 1.5 mil.
It's a little low, I think. I would have expected it to have been higher, just because when you look at the year that Sony had as far as releases were concerned, like, what else were you buying? You know, I mean, there's, you know, Rebirth and Black Myth Wukong. Black Myth Wukong, of course, sold very, very well. But, you know, that's kind of why maybe you're not getting games like Sly Cooper and stuff like that, because, you know, I 1.5, and it's a very quality game, too. It was my game of the year until Batman VR. So I think that's a little low. I'm surprised, you know, out of 60 million plus user base, that it's only
65 million now.
65 million. I mean, you know, there is the chance that maybe people are just waiting for the holidays to pick it up for whatever reason. But yeah, a little low in my opinion.
Okay.
I feel like the holidays would make sense for it to sell quite a bit more, because you'd get it for your kids or something, you know?
General audience appeal for this one.
Yeah, a bit.
Did they announce the budget for this game? Like what they
No, I mean, they told us it was made in Japan, so typically people get paid technically less there in these studios compared to the US, and it was about 60 people over 3 years to make it.
Yeah, because I was like trying to dig to find it to like compare if it was I consider it a success or not. Because like I'm kind of in the medium zone of like it's good. Like, hey, 1.5 million units is 1.5 million units. And like looking at the cycle, it's like only a 60-person team. They had a 3-year development cycle, so they weren't stuck in like an 8-year hell or something. If my math is mathing right, and like we're not counting in taxes or I don't know if first party has platform cuts, but let's just pretend that they don't. That's like $90 million. So if you're comparing it to like other type of games that sold like 1 million units, like Stellar Blade, for example, I think Stellar Blade sold like roughly around 1 million. I could be wrong on that.
Mm-hmm.
But
right.
They had like double the size of the team and they consider that a success. So when kind of comparing that, just assuming that maybe their budget was like less, like or half or a little bit over half for Astro Bot, you're still doubling your money, which is pretty good. So I don't know. I hope with the holiday season it picks up more units and we see something cool with it. I would love to see it do more numbers. It'd be great.
I think over Stellar Blade though is that was an M-rated game, whereas this isn't. So you would think that this would have a bit more of an oomph behind it because it has a wider appeal for the audience.
But if it has that wider appeal, wouldn't it make sense to like sell better during the holidays and the times when like you're gonna get it for your kids and stuff?
I mean, maybe, but when do people start buying stuff for the holidays? Now would start being the time. So we should start seeing it, creep up on NPD stuff and Amazon listings and stuff like that. I'm actually scrolling through Amazon listings to see if it's in the top 100.
This does feel like an easy game to gift somebody if you're not sure. Like you get a PS5 and you're like, they're like the kid that's getting a PS5 this Christmas is like 12 or 13. I don't know if I can buy them Last of Us. Maybe I'll get Astro Bot. We'll do that. So it seems like an easy one to just grab off the shelf and just, all right, fine. Or like a grandparent get it for the kids or something, It's like, okay, cool. It looks fine to me. This feels to me, I had this game set around the Ratchet and Clank sort of territory for its sales number. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart now, again, years later, is at about 4 million copies. That's kind of where I envision the 3 to 4 million range for this game lifetime. And for again, the probably the money that got put into it from Team Asobi, it would probably make like that would be profiting then. So very profitable at that point. I think maybe we get maybe we're a little used to some of the crazy numbers we at times get announced from like a Black Myth Wukong or Nintendo, for example, with some of their first party stuff.
How many years ago did Ratchet and Clank release?
Oh, that would have been
17, right?
Ratchet and Clank would have been like 3 years ago. 3.
Oh,
it was
shit. Yeah.
2021. Let me just double check. See.
That's 57 on Amazon. So that's not
2021.
Climbing the ranks.
Okay,
yeah. So
that's not bad. Ratchet and Clank came out almost 3.5 years ago, just about.
So Astro Bot needs to sell like 1.2 million units a year, and he'll catch up. I believe in him.
Yeah, and they're also doing releases now. Like they're doing content updates throughout the holidays, it seems. So we still have a couple weeks of that, which is pretty cool to throw it in there. They said there's other things coming too. So I think this is a long play for Sony as well at this point.
How much did Sackboy sell?
Oh, how much that is a good question, actually. Sackboy, Big Adventure, underrated game. Well,
it's a banger.
It's a fun game. Sackboy has sold more than 1 million copies. That's all that we know, though. I don't think they gave us another update. Okay. So that's another one I don't think cost them a lot of money to make either. So it's if this was The Last of Us Part 3 or something, and it's like 1.5 million copies in 2 months, I'd be like, okay, Sony's not happy. But in this case, I think they're okay with it. I think they're fine. So just something else to throw in there for variety, and the fact that it made its money back seems to be doing well. So I wouldn't overreact to it like how I'm seeing people online kind of do that. I do want to jump over to WB because this is kind of funny because Sean has been playing a game from them that he's enjoyed as his game of the year right now, but they also talked about Multiversus. So they did give a shout out to your game, Sean, or Batman Arkham Shadow.
Good.
They seem pretty happy with it. I don't know how it's selling, but they seemed happy with how it's performed in terms of critical reviews and stuff. But they did mention that Multiversus has added an additional $100 million to the write down that was $200 million. So I believe that's about $300 million write down. They're not happy with how it's performed. This is the game that they took away from people and then brought back like a year later or something. And they attempted to revamp it, still isn't working. And now it seems that they are going to double down or quadruple down, I guess, on really 4 franchises that they believe should do well: Hogwarts Legacy, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, and DC. In particular, DC, Batman. So, Sean, is it time for a new Batman Arkham game that's not tied to VR?
It's been time. Everyone will tell you that, you know.
Okay, you're like, yeah, make another. You don't want them to do anything weird with it, or just like, hey, just stick with what works. New Arkham game.
Yeah, I mean, if you're having so many swings and misses with other things, I mean, you know, the whole Multiversus situation was ridiculous at the start. You had it, and then you pulled it for a year, and then it came back free to play. What do companies expect? Like, do companies need to realize that people's attention spans are shorter than ever now? You know, like, I don't think anyone was like, damn, I gotta wait a year. Well, let me put this on my calendar, and then it'll come back, and then I'll. It's like, come on, dude. Like, I don't know. It's weird to me.
Especially, I guess maybe they thought the IPs they're throwing in there would have had more of a pull than they did. I mean, they're well-known characters and stuff, but it's not like what Fortnite does. Fortnite spends a small fortune every year just to keep people engaged.
But I mean, Fortnite's the exception, not the common situation that has with stuff like that. Like, that's the thing that people see and they want to achieve that. But within that is the graveyard of all of the games that have failed trying to capture a piece of that market, which I don't think it's as big as these companies necessarily think it is.
Go ahead, Josie. We're going to say something?
Nothing crazy. I feel like the brawler genre isn't going to do as crazy as something like a Fortnite game would do. You know, people aren't as interested in like a Smash clone as they would be in like their favorite. I don't know. I think Multiversus is kind of doomed to fail. I think it's a fine game, but it's just pointless. Doesn't serve any purpose.
It's weird that they never put it on the Switch. It's a Smash Brothers type game, and it's not on the Smash Brothers system.
Yeah,
like that seems obvious, right? And they just we don't know what went wrong. It's like
there was a Smash Bros. Like clone game that just came out from Ludwig. I don't know.
Is there?
Okay, first off, that's Rivals of Ether.
Yeah,
Dan Foreman made that game.
Well,
Ludwig, he helped publish with it. Sorry, I have to correct that. Shovel Knight's in the first one. Fun fact. Dan's awesome.
Shit.
And so he partnered with Ludwig, and it's been like blowing up, which is amazing because it deserves even more attention. I just had to jump in and say that. Rivals of Ether has been a really really cool game.
But that's because it has some unique stuff to it. It's like Multiversus is just this like the most Nickelodeon kart racer thing you could possibly get from a brawler, you know?
True. And like it's kind of interesting that you draw that comparison because like Rivals of Ether has so many different characters. Whenever I do 6 degrees of Shovel Knight, I use Rivals of Ether because that connects them to Disney characters because they have Star Wars in their game too. They have like everything. But yeah, they kind of like took the characters and then made it own and like their own in the universe where it does feel like it is a Nickelodeon kart racer of they're just kind of plopping random things together.
They don't like play to any of their strengths. Like they had the Avatar people in there, and I was all hyped about that, and they played like shit. And I was like, "That's not, it's not how they would ever play. It makes no sense."
Yeah, I like also agree with Sean. Made a really good point earlier about like what was their plan with this game? Because like I don't know, and also it didn't get that much of attention when they was releasing the new port. I didn't realize that they were even doing that, and that it even went away. I just thought everyone forgot about the game.
They took it out of people's library, or basically shut down the servers for a good part of a year, and then they brought it back.
That's
just
wild.
not unique. I think they need to do something that makes it a little different. Like either like it has a great art style, it has like some unique stuff to it, that like sets it apart.
Yeah.
How much money did they put into it?
Well, they said that it's caused like another $100 million write down for them. So whatever it like affected is just overall sales, but they seem to specifically point out Multiversus as not living up to expectations. So they're just adding to the write down for end of year stuff.
I'm so curious what their projections were for that. I want to know what it was.
I kind of wonder if a lot of projections just right now for free to play is just bloated because of everything with COVID, where people are staying inside and they're drawing off of those years to project future years.
But, John, if you're doing that, you should be fucking fired because you're obviously an idiot and you're not good at your job.
I feel like we say that a lot, right? But then these companies keep doing that.
Well, that's why the industry's in the shape that it's in.
So some companies will sometimes use third-party marketing agencies to prove a point and find data to cover their ass. I feel like this is one of those scenarios where they're like, survey says that they would be very interested in Scooby-Doo, but we also interviewed people who only like Scooby-Doo. So that's why they said that. I don't know. It's wild how they come to these conclusions.
Tommy Tallarico had that same sort of marketing data at the Amico, and it was going to outsell the Wii. I mean,
he's just over there minding his business. Sean's got it just.
Well, I
made fun of him on the second channel yesterday too, and I talked about the Super Sega.
Oh my gosh!
Sorry, rewind. Is that data still existing on the internet? Because I want to see that.
It was never given to the internet. It was just focus groups and shit. Like, bro, focus groups are ridiculous. I was in a focus group. Okay, when I was a child. I got $20 to participate in a cereal testing thing. And I was one of the people that determined, you remember Oreo cereal? I don't know if they still make it, but I went to a thing in Raleigh, North Carolina at this testing studio. And they literally had like 6 or 7 different types of Oreo cereal that they were making. And we had to choose which one we liked the best. We had to say which one we didn't like, why we liked it, why we didn't. And then they gave us $20. We're a bunch of kids. I was probably 10, 11 years old. Like, I don't know that, if it's very targeted, the marketing, like, sure, maybe, but I just feel like a lot of this marketing stuff and like the focus groups and stuff like that, like, especially when you're paying people, they don't necessarily care. They just want their money.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to just double down on what that's what we've mentioned before, where risk in general for the industry is not as interesting to these companies right now. So Batman, what would be cool, I still think, is Batman Beyond. I don't know if they'll do that. They might just go back to regular Arkham and just stick with that, like what we know of like how Batman's been the past 3 games. I think it'd be cool though. Batman Beyond, change it up a little bit.
I second that. Like, I love Batman Beyond. I also found out that it streams on Paramount Plus, so I'm going to be doing a binge watch soon. Yeah, I found that out last night. I'm really excited.
So that I think that would be a cool direction to go in. I don't know if they will. They might just go old man Batman or something. Who knows? But I don't know.
RGT, cool have you played any more, like any different games on the VR thing?
No.
MetaQuest? No,
not yet.
Just Batman.
Yeah, just Batman. I'll get into it over the holidays and stuff like that.
They were having a sale for them on Best Buy, and they weren't that expensive. And I almost got one, but then I was like, truly no point for me to get this. But
yeah, you still got to play Shenmue, pal.
True, I know.
Hey, you can play. Can you play Shenmue in like the big screen in VR? You can do that, right?
You got to side load stuff on
it.
Okay. Lame.
Okay. Well, she's got to play Shenmue. She's got to play Call of Duty. She's got a whole list, apparently.
I started the Call of Duty campaign, actually.
Campaign? Nobody's worried about the campaign. You need to hop
I got to get better at those games because I don't really play those games ever.
Just hop into the multiplayer.
I'm going to get shredded. I jumped into that.
Yeah, but you're not going to learn much from just going through the shooting gallery that is single player.
If you do the multiplayer stuff, though, you get better as you go. And honestly, it's some of the people that we get paired with online at times, they get destroyed. Like there's sometimes I look at this scoreboard and it's like, I don't know if this person's actually playing, but no, then we see them running around.
The multiplayer becomes more of a rhythm game because you'll know like they're going to run around this corner, so I'll just throw a grenade that way and get a kill easily without even seeing someone. It's a whole